Welcome back to my layout. What I'm going to talk about today and show you another how-to video is how I actually paint these trees here right onto the backdrop. That just kind of adds some depth to the scene. And when you pull back, it's really hard to tell what's painted and what's real. And I did that through the scene here in DeKalb. So I'll show you real quick. This is also something really easy to do. Doesn't require a lot of technique. So we'll go over to West Chicago and I'll show you how I do it. Alright, so once again here we are in West Chicago Yard. I've got these clouds painted up there in my last video. Everything's dry. So for the foreground trees, I like to use these products here. Woodland Scenics has some really nice foliage. A lot of different colors to choose from. And these make a really nice tree. So for 16 bucks you can get 4 or 5 trees out of these. That's not too bad of a deal, and you got a bunch of bushes left over. So I use medium green. This is olive green, and this one's a light green. So to paint the trees onto the backdrop, excuse me, I want to use paint that kind of matches the color of the trees I'm going to be using. So this right here is pretty close. It's dark foliage green, Delta Cream Coat. So that's going to be that match. For the olive green, this one here is called Forest Green. It's a pretty close match to this one. And then I have 2 different choices that I have for my my light green here, which is a close match to that. Doesn't have to be exact. But you want to find something similar so it all kind of goes together and flows nicely. And then I have a very light colored leaf green that I use for highlights, where the sun's hitting, and maybe a little bit of white if we get that far. Alright, so I'm going to pause the video real quick, clean this mess up. I'll get things all set up and we'll get started to show you how to do this. Okay, so when I paint my trees on this backdrop, I'm going to start with the darker color first, get all that put in, and then come back and hit it with some lighter colors. Then I come back and maybe hit it with a few more lighter colors, highlight it, and then let it dry. So we're going to start out with our dark color, which is the dark foliage green, and once again just the cheap paper plates. I'll make a couple of different piles here of paint, and then we'll do a little bit of pine green for the dark color. Oh, this one might be dried out. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and I'm going to get this cap cleaned up and be right back. Alright, we're back. So I had to clean the cap out on this one. It was a little clogged up. These 2 colors are very similar, but this is my background dark color. And then we'll use these 2 a little bit later on. And I got a cheap brush. These are probably $1 a piece. You want something a little bit soft. And all I do, it's called stippling. And that's all I do to do my trees in the background. So we're going to pick up some paint. And then we're going to start down at this end. And we're just going to add that right onto the background here. More. And I'm going to keep it a little dark right along the bottom edge, and then we'll fan it out as we get up a little higher in the sky. So just kind of the low-lying bushes, and get a little bit of this color in there too. Can't really see a color difference. So we can probably just mix these 2 together and it won't even make a difference. Nice dark color for the back. I'll just keep going with that. But you can see by stippling it gives you the leafy effect that I'm looking for. So along the very bottom it's just going to be really dark down there. And then if you just tap these up you can get some leaves. Like that. So all I'm doing right now is directly along the horizon right here. Getting a nice dark color to hide the separation between actual layout and backdrop, and it just gives me the bushes in the back there. Alright, we're going to go ahead and pause the video. I'm going to finish this whole tree line along the bottom, then we'll come back and I'll start at this end and show you how I make some different variations of trees. We'll be right back. Alright, so right along the bottom of where the masonite meets the layout, I just did some really dark green bushes back there, grass. Now the next step we're going to do is put some background trees in here, some dark trees. They're far away, and you don't have to paint a tree because we're not trying to take the eye away from the layout. So this is just representing what's back there. So kind of keep that in mind. I'm no artist. I can't probably paint a tree, but to represent a tree, it's a lot easier. So same thing. I just load up the paintbrush and we're going to stipple some trees on. This is the dark pine green. And also keep in mind, you don't want to get your trees way up here because the trees that are behind the regular trees, you don't want them taller. You definitely want them smaller. So it gives you that, remember, that depth of field. So we'll start out down here, just back here, and we'll add some trees back here. And we just stipple those trees in. I'm not adding any tree trunks. I'm not adding anything like that. Just leaves. Just the leaves. And that's what's nice about, I think it's called stippling, I'm pretty sure. We just tap these leaves in. It's actually that simple. A little taller one back here. So you can see we don't need to add tree trunks and everything like that. We're just looking for the representation. And then you can see how the clouds are showing through the tree line back here, which is exactly what I was looking for. Let me do another row and then we'll pause while I finish this up and we'll come back in and highlight it. But one more time, very simply, you want to make sure you keep your trees lower than my trees will be, probably about this high on the layout. So I want to keep these down low. I'll just kind of tap these in. And I really like the way the clouds shine through on these. A little darker area right there. Tap those in like that. I think it's starting to look like trees. Do a little bit more right here. And this, remember, is all just kind of one color right now. This just represents the trees that are really far in the back. You want to bring that in close and we'll take a few minutes and I'll finish up this first line of trees and then I'll show you how I highlight everything. Okay, so I got the first pine green color in here. I'm a little taller at this end. Got some clouds shining through, some wispy clouds coming through. Didn't paint any trunks or anything like that. This is just stippled onto the backdrop. Over here I want to represent like the trains going behind. So I kept the tree line a little lower back here. I got some really nice faraway clouds. And I'm not going to be able to have huge trees back here because the track's close to the back. So everything's going to kind of shrink down and then disappear. So the next step, some of this is still a little wet, but that's okay. I didn't bother cleaning the brush off. We're going to go to a couple lighter coats and highlight these trees with some different colored leaves. That one was forest green. And this one's a dark forest. Excuse me. And this one's the real one that I like to highlight. It's just a leaf green. That really adds a nice light color. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of each one of these and just kind of add them to the middle here and kind of make my own color. So I pulled a little bit of this one, a little bit of the light one, and I kind of have it here. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to come in and add those different colors right in here. I'm going to highlight the tops of these trees. Just like that. So we don't want to totally do away with covering what we just did. We're just looking to highlight the tops and gives something more for the eye to look at. So if you were modeling and the sun was only coming from one direction, you'd only want to highlight one side. If the sun was coming from this direction on your layout, you want to highlight this side. For me, the sun's hitting it straight on, so I'm just highlighting right along the whole entire front. But if you wanted to just highlight one side, then you could just come in and just highlight the side. Let's say the sun was coming from this edge. You would just come along here and just kind of hit it like that. But this is just different leaf color. Some on the bottom here. So as things get closer to the eye, the colors get more vibrant. And that's kind of what we're doing here. Bushes along the bottom, up in the top here. Just like so. Alright, I'm going to pause the video once again, but you can go in close and take a peek at that. I'll finish this up and then we'll do the final highlights after this. Okay, so the final step, we got the pine green in there, we got a little bit of different shades of lighter greens in there. I'm at the right height I want to be at. So the final step that I like to do is just some regular white. And we do what's called a dry brush stipple technique. So we get some paint onto the brush, onto the corner, but I wipe most of it off. Wipe most of it off, and it does not take a lot. I'm just going to come in here and I highlight just a couple of different little leaves here and there, like the sun's hitting them. Just very lightly, nothing crazy. You could even skip this step if you wanted to. It's not necessary. But I just like to highlight a couple of leaves. Wipe most of the paint off. We'll come in and just highlight a few of the leaves up at the top where the sun's hitting them. So it's probably hard to notice on the camera, but it does highlight a few of the leaves along the way here. And if you wanted to use this technique to add some white flowers along the bottom, you could do that right along the bottom. Just kind of give it some white flowers in there. Alright folks, that's all there is to it. Pretty simple technique, acrylic paint, blue sky, and then what I'll do is in a later video I'll show you how I just add the ground to this and some dirt, some bushes, and then we add the trees, and it really is going to make this yard come to life right in this section. Once again, thanks for watching.